We got a house today that's from 1978, I believe, and the panel box does not look like 1978, but we do have some issues going on inside of it, so take a look. There's a lot going on, but I'm going to just hit a couple of points here. First of all, it's an absolute mess, and we don't have really anything for labeling. But really, where I start to get concerned, let me see if I can get a flashlight on this, is that we have aluminum and copper wires in here, and we even have some of them lugged together, as you can see right about there. We have copper, we have aluminum, and two of those are lugged right together. This is not a good situation at all. And then we have aluminum all throughout here, but you can't really see it in this video too well. We have aluminum wiring, and none of it has been treated with antioxidant gel. And so knowing that this wire is probably pretty old, it's definitely gonna need some antioxidant gel where it lugs in. Now, we're going to do a little bit of extra searching inside the house, because really the aluminum wiring is what really gets me going here. And not that it exists, not that it is aluminum, but that the failures tend to happen at the connections when they're not treated properly. And we can see inside the box that we have copper and aluminum together. That is not good, and definitely should have some antioxidant gel. And that leads me to believe that inside the house, at the connections, the outlets and switches, we're probably going to have some poor connections that are possible failure points and need to get evaluated by an electrician. Now, usually a fence isn't part of my home inspection unless there's a pool, because then the fence becomes a safety issue. And the only time that a fence really makes it to my report is if it is a safety issue. This particular case, this is a new construction home. It's actually an old model home, so it's actually a few years old, but the fence is in pretty poor condition, so we're going to notate that today. Check out what I'm finding. Stuff like this becomes a concern because we wonder, if it could fall over one day and injure somebody, and so obviously that's a concern. And then we've got some areas over here like this broken fence picket, and this, obviously, if you're moving into this new construction house, this may have been caused by a neighbor's dog, but it's on the side of the fence that is going to be the responsibility of the homeowner that's purchasing this house, and you don't want that to be on your new construction house. More of the same going on over here. Deteriorating fence over here, and then look at this. This one's on the neighboring side, but definitely the same thing. But we feel like that could easily come loose and fall over. These are definitely things we want to make sure the homeowner's aware of and that the builder's aware of, so they can make some corrections before the homeowner actually moves in this property. That is an air intake. Let me show you how I test it to make sure that it's actually pulling air in instead of blowing it out, because sometimes they can get that fan turned around backwards. Here's our intake, and here's my testing method. It works. Now that we've established that the fan's installed in the right direction, let's go upstairs in the attic, see if we can see what else is going on with it. Now, one thing that I noticed during the home inspection of this new construction home was that the AC just doesn't seem to be cooling very well. You can see I have it set to cool to 65, but it is 80 degrees in here. And it's been set that way for quite a while. So I'm gonna go up in the attic and see if I can see anything that might be causing this problem. While I was up here in the attic, I decided to take a look at the air intake system. And as I open it up, I can see that it looks like it's set to run 90% of the time. That means that 90% of the time it's pulling in hot, humid summer air into this house. Now, I'm no expert on this device. Depending on your lifestyle, you may need more or less air inside your house so your system can run efficiently. But I don't think it's supposed to be running at 90% of the time. Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to do that. Doing a warranty inspection today, and I found a AC drain pan that was just filling with water. After finding that, I went down to try to chase down where that water was draining out, and this is what I found. Here's what we find on the outside of the property. You can see they did not push the drain pipe out of the wall very far at all. As a matter of fact, it's almost inset in the wall, so we've got all of this condensation dripping down over the window and onto the ground here. But it's important about this area right here because it concerns me about it getting under that lintel and getting inside the house. We've got some water supply lines running through the attic here. They're all insulated. Got some little tiny gaps, and I'm not too worried about those little tiny gaps. But you can see they're all insulated nice until you get over here where the insulation starts, and then usually they'll bury it in the insulation, only they didn't. They just ran the main water line right out. They insulated it back over there, you can see, but then they stopped and there's this wide open section. Yeah, that's not good. That will freeze. New roofing practice alert. If you run out of flashing, no problem, just use shingles. Check this out. As you can see here, we just folded shingles and nailed them to the fascia. Yeah, that's definitely going to keep water out. And they did it over here too. Okay, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, that's definitely a problem, but it really ceases to matter because this roof is done for. It's toast. In my opinion, it just needs to be replaced. But I'm going to take you for a quick scan and you can develop some of your own opinions. This is how I use a thermal imaging camera to find missing insulation. Take notice of the color difference above the front door, and then also take notice of this temperature right in the front entryway. We got about 74 degrees, and as we get closer to the front door, it's looking like about 84 degrees. So that 10-degree swing there is an indication to me that we have some missing insulation. Listing agents, listen up. This one's aimed at you. Check on your listings from time to time, and it helps if you know a few things about homes. If you see water dripping out of an area of the soffit, down and onto the ground, such as this may be an indication that you have a clogged primary AC drain line. Such is the case at this house. This can cost your client a whole lot of money if something happens. Let me show you why. As you can see, the drain pan underneath this evaporator coil has a significant amount of water in it. And while we have a float switch here that will shut the unit off if it gets too full, I can't guarantee that that float switch is going to work. The thing that concerns me the most is the amount of rust sitting in this pan. You see, we have no idea when this pan is going to become compromised to the point where this water will no longer be held in the pan and will come out the bottom of the pan, therefore into the house. And also, make sure that all the utilities are on. This includes the gas. This is very important. You see this lock right here? This is a lock put on by the gas company. It is locked out, the gas is off. So now the home inspector cannot check any of the gas equipment in the house. Couple of quick things about stairways and guardrails. This is an older house and these guardrails are not up to current code. This isn't a huge problem, but definitely something that needs to be brought up in the home inspection. See, we measure these to make sure a 4-inch sphere cannot go through them, and obviously this definitely can. And so those are not up to current code, but I wouldn't call that a red flag situation. What concerns me the most is whether or not these are sturdy enough. And so these should be able to withstand about 70 pounds of force, and this one seems pretty solid. Okay, but when I go over here, got a little bit of a different situation happening. So we have another one just like that right here. And when I move this one, real loose. Sometimes I get people that want me to make videos about stuff that is done right. And I don't really get it because my job is to find stuff that's done wrong. And I think it makes a pretty boring video to find something that's done correctly. I even did an April Fool's joke where I basically did that. But anyway, I tried to deliver, and so I got up on this roof today, and it was looking pretty good. And so I thought, let me make a good video. It seemed like everything was properly installed, adhered, properly fastened. I didn't see unpainted flashing or anything like that, no exposed nails. But then, I did notice this guy right here. Yep, that's not supposed to be there. I'm really not loving how off-center this hip cap shingle work is here. Not liking that really. I'm also not loving the way we cut our shingles here right next to the front entryway here. You see this really large gap where almost the entire piece of flashing is exposed. Yeah, I'm not liking that. All of these things are relatively minor, so that's probably about as good as I'm going to get to a good video. Maybe until April. Sometimes you don't need to be a roofing contractor to notice when you might have roofing problems. Shingles laying on the ground, better get up and check it out. Yep, missing shingles. Well, I guess they're not so much missing, they're just laying on the ground. There's a trend I'm seeing on roofs on a bunch of new construction homes. I'm going to take you up here and show it to you. Check it out. What I'm talking about is where two different roof pitches intersect, and we have this weird little intersection here. Let me turn the camera around and show you what I'm dealing with. So here's one pitch, and then you can see the other pitch here. And as it comes down the roof here, they come together at this point right here. If not handled properly, this point where these two pitches come together can be really problematic. At first glance, it seems like everything's fine, but upon further investigation, we see that these shingles here are quite loose. Now, I'm not saying that loose shingle is going to cause the issue that I'm having inside the house, but I'm going to take you inside and show you what I'm finding there. Take notice of where this problem is taking place, which is right above this window. And as I take you inside, I will tell you that the homeowner expressed having previous trouble in this area, but that the builder had come out to correct the issue and they thought it was taken care of. I scan every property with my thermal imaging camera, and when I do, it looks like we are still having trouble in this area. But of course, I want to go up with my moisture meter just to confirm what we're dealing with. So as I get in a little closer with the moisture meter, it confirms that we definitely have moisture in the ceiling and the problem still exists.